All right, so what we're going to do, a lot of this test is factoring. Let's talk about what factoring is.
I know factoring so well.
I hate factoring. I watch on YouTube and they do the magic X trick. Do you know what that is?
I've seen it, yes.
It's so interesting.
You could do it on the test, I don't mind, but I'm not teaching that.
Okay, and here's the thing with the 6 steps.
Do you want to explain the
Like, it has 6 steps and you.
That is not on the test.
That's not.
The complete the square, I will not put that in the upcoming test. That was for next one. That's for the next chapter.
Wait, the 1.5 thing, you didn't take off the homework.
Is this like
I'm gonna leave it there because that will be eventually your homework in the future. So if you already did it, what's up?
I don't know how to do it. Like,
I'll change the due date so it doesn't say missing anymore. All right. So 6x to the third plus 15x. Yes. So what we're going to do is factor out what's in common. The first one is going to be factored. The second set will be solved. So factoring out, you first look if there's something in common with everything here. There's a common an x, and there's in common a 3. So what that means is I'm going to take out a 3x on both of these. If I take a 3x out, that's going to be on the outside. Yeah. Stop. And then what's going to be left over? 6 divided by 3 is 2. X cubed divided by x. You remember your exponent rules. You subtract exponents, so x squared. Plus 15 divided by 3 is 5. Yeah, I will kick you out. And then you have 2x squared plus 5. After that, you always check inside the parentheses if there's more to do. If not, you are done.
so that's what you tell us, like.
That's the answer for this. This is just says the instructions would say factor the following expression.
Oh, I'm gonna do that.
This one will land in 1.3.
What?
This one would be in 1.3.
I thought our test was just 1.3 and 1.5.
It is. It's not that much. Let's say this one. This one's the more what do you think when I say factoring is what you think about. This is when you have an A, B, and C value. When I say A, B, and C value, you should remember it from the standard form of a quadratic function, like this. Okay? Anyway, this C value and this B value is the key to figuring out the answer.
5 and 1.
I need to multiply to 5. So I have to multiply to the C value, which is 5. That adds to the B value, which is 6. Luckily for 5 and 1 is the only thing that works, so it's 6. So when you do this, you're going to rewrite it as x plus 5 and x plus 1. If you were to FOIL this, you will get back your original answer. You could always check your work by FOILing it back. Yes?
How come for like the one on top we just factored something out and then here we're doing
Well, every time you should look if you could take something out in common. But if you look at it, what's the problem?
Yeah, we did that.
The 5 doesn't have an x. Everything has to have x over it. Okay. So everything needs to be something in common. I'll do in like either in 3 questions, you're going to see one where I take something out in common first. Okay.
Is this like reviewing?
This is literally a review, and I'm recording this so then you can do it later. Next one, if you're dealing with negatives, x squared minus 7x minus 12. No, plus 12. In this one, we need the answer to multiply to positive 12, but add to negative 7.
Negative 6 and negative 1.
It's going to be negative 3, negative 4.
Why negative 3? Oh, never mind.
The reason they're both negative.
Is because, can I say?
Go ahead.
Because the 7, like, that's only one negative and it's the bigger number. But then for the multiplying, both have to be negative for it to become a positive.
Good. You're multiplying to a positive, so it has to be a double negative, but you're adding to a negative number, so they both have to be negative, which means you're going to get x minus 3, x minus 4.
Wait, you multiply to C?
You multiply to C every time. Yes.
You know like the thing with like
Not necessarily.
You know the slide and divide thing?
Yes.
Is that like is this like before that? Or?
This is before slide and divide.
Okay.
You would need to know this to do slide and divide, if that's the
Okay.
x squared plus 6x minus 16.
These scissors suck.
So this one, What I need to do is multiply to negative 16. Always pay attention to signs. Multiply negative 16 to add to positive 6. Since I'm multiplying to a negative, one should be negative, one should be positive. So I'm going to do 8 and negative 2. Very important is 8 and negative 2 because I needed to add to positive 6. If it was negative 8 and positive 2, that would give me negative 6. So then you have 8x plus 8, x minus 2. I usually get this question. It doesn't matter which one you put first or second. You can put minus 2 first and then 8 second. Doesn't really matter.
Bro, once it's over, why are they sending me a reminder?
Next one. 3x squared plus 12x plus
Oh, this is.
Oh, this is like
9. All right. Every time you...
Question.
Yes, go ahead, y'all.
What do you do? Let's say if it's like 70 times like 35, and you have the biggest number. How am I supposed to find the common factor? I never do it because I don't know what to
So
do.
there's a couple of ways to reduce that, and I'll show you in your calculator also how you get
Yeah,
factors.
because I never get two numbers, so I don't know what to do.
So let me go in the normal process, and you'll see there's two things that will help you in that. First off, here you're gonna get 3 and 9, and you kind of think, oh, this is gonna be a big number, but you always look first. Look at all of them first and divide by 3. Good. Now, if you divide something out, just like in the previous question, that number must be in front. So 3 is on the outside, and then you're going to rewrite the inside as 4x plus 3. So notice that 3 is on the outside.
Oh,
that's the final answer.
No.
no,
Be-
and then you can do 2. No, never mind.
Then you do what multiplies a c that adds a b, which is times 3 and times 1. So 3, x plus 3, x plus 1. I'm telling you, this part is a part of your answer.
Wait, what more?
I know for a fact one person will forget it at least.
Wait,
You will lose 1 point if you
Yeah,
forget the
I
thing.
know, I'll-
If you know you're going to be, don't be the person
I'm
then.
trying.
Okay.
Yeah, not physically right now, but I'm just.
Because tomorrow we don't meet. Wednesday's another day. And then Thursday's a test.
what are we doing Wednesday?
I know that's the best.
I have a packet that I'm giving out at the end of the test.
Oh.
Okay, next one.
Honestly,
2x squared. I have to do it this way so I can actually make it good. 12 plus 11x.
You. Oh, no. Oh, oh.
Okay,
That's not me.
now this one. Oh, got it. So, for this one, what we're taking here is first you look if anything's in common.
X.
Nothing's in common.
No, never mind.
Not with this one, at least. Not a 2 because 11 is not in common. So what I'm going to have to do is slide and divide.
No.
Now, slide and divide
Times 12.
is I'm going to slide this over here, and to pay back the loan that I'm taking from the 2, I'll have to divide later. We'll do that at the end. So I'm taking the 2 and borrowing it to the 12, or lending it to the 12. So x squared plus 11x plus 24. From here, this is something I know how to do. Things that multiply to 24 that add to 11. After a while, you'll figure out it's x plus 8 and x plus 3. Now, I took a loan of the 2. I have to pay back my 2. I have to pay back my 2 by dividing 2. Now, if they simplify into a whole number, like on the left side, it becomes x plus 4. We're very happy with that. But if it doesn't simplify all the way to a whole number, which one of them should not be able to at least, what you're going to do is take the 2 and move it back to the front. So you have to pay it back right to the beginning. So this is going to become 2x plus 3. So slide and divide. And the red is what's unique about slide and divide compared to the normal question, which is you slide over the 2 to borrow it, then divide what's in common.
When you divide the 8 times the 3 by 2, right?
I divide 8 and 3 by my original A value, which was 2 in this case. Like I could technically do the same question with 12 in front and 2 in the back. I would divide both of them by 12 though.
What if you did like x plus 1.5 instead of x plus 3? 2x plus 3.
That would be wrong because foiling this will get you back to the original. Foiling 1.5 will get you back this.
Are you thinking of this questions on the test? Like, give us the final.
Like I give you this?
Yeah.
No, that's factoring. That's foiling. We already did foiling in the past.
Okay.
All right. All right. Here's what I call the special cases, yo.
Is this still 1.5?
I know everyone else was talking, but you were talking as soon as I started, so my fault. Either way. So there's two special cases. One is this one. When they're perfect squares, like x squared minus 49. There's two ways to think about it. You could think about it as your b value being 0. So what multiplies to negative 49? That adds a 0. 7 and negative 7. So you could write this as x minus 7, x plus 7. Or, because this is a perfect square, and this is a perfect square, we'll call it c squared in this case. In that case, since they're both perfect squares, you could always go right to the n. X, which is the square root of x squared, minus 7, the square root of 7, or 49. X plus the square root of 7, or 9, 49, which is the square root of 7. This is a special case scenario. Usually it's a and b, but a squared minus c squared will be a minus c, a plus c. Now, if you don't remember that special case, you can always break it down into this, where b is 0.
X equals plus minus 7.
No. It is x times negative, x minus 7 times x plus 7.
Can I just skip
So what
that?
case would it be that X equals plus minus 7?
If it was equal 0, and I was asking what the x values are, which would be a positive 7 and a negative 7.
So
Since it's a
Yeah, go ahead, Brown.
Since it's a perfect square, can I just write x plus or minus 7?
No. X plus 7, x minus 7. It has to be written like this. Because when you foil it, it should go back to the original.
But like, if I do that,
You could just skip right to the end, I'm saying. Another one that's a special case, which x squared plus 10x plus 25. Things that multiply to 25, that adds a 10. 5 and 5. So because they're the same thing twice, I could rewrite it as x plus 5 squared. Now, if you write x plus 5, you still get it correct. I just want you to know these two things are the same. But x plus 5 squared is also an acceptable answer. Those are considered special cases, and we'll use that more. We kind of use the one on the left in complete the square, but we'll use those more in the future. Just be aware of that. Next one.
You watch the go so dull and looks like Diggy from Paradise.
4x squared minus 15 equals 45. This should, no. Not 40. I want to make it so it works. So,
Is it gonna work on the test also?
yes.
Every time.
But I don't want to use the question on the test, even though I'm looking at it. Let's do 96. This will, no, wait, that won't work. Shoot. I'm recording this, so yes, people will actually remember.
Just don't tell us it's on the test.
That is true. I should not tell you that. But now I said it, so it's too late. All right.
wait, did you say it's the same as the test?
Yeah. Okay.
What's the same as the test? If you guys are screwing me over, that's so.
No, it's not the same.
So this one, 4x squared minus 15 minus 11. So when you solve this, you want to get your x squared by itself before you square root. So plus 15 on both sides. So 4x squared equals 4. Wait. Divided by 4 on both sides. X squared equals 1. Then I'm going to square root both sides. In this case, remember, the square root is not only the positive one, but the negative one. Don't. The plus minus will be a half a point if you forget it.
What?
When do you actually use the plus minus?
Yeah.
I'll give you then 2 questions.
Oh my god, wait, what are we on last?
That's why you don't look away. This one over here. Shh.
Wait, 1 second.
Wait, this is actually where you would put like plus minus?
Yeah. When you have a solution or equal sign, that's when plus minuses will show up. X squared plus 3 equals, let's say, 2.
Minus 3. You did it. You're doing so good.
So minus 3 on both sides. X squared equals -1. Now I square root both sides. What's my issue?
You can't square root of negative.
You cannot square a negative. So for this test, it will be no solution.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, we.
Next section is imaginary. So we'll talk about square roots of -1s. But for this test, it will be a no solution.
Thank you.
Okay?
Imaginary.
Imaginary numbers.
So if they're not there, then they're solution.
No, they're imaginary.
What's no solution? And I was like, what's the point of no solution? Like, there's no point. Like, take.
Doesn't solve it.
What are you talking about?
All right. I'm going to the next page.
Forget that you can't
One more
square
thing.
stupid negative.
Sure.
Y'all get it.
Wow.
No, take it. I remember. I remember someone.
Unanswered.
Oh, you just reminded me of Sato saying "kiss you." I didn't even get that. I just have it, and it sounds like exactly what you did. No one missed that.
No.
I had an epiphany that the sister just disappeared. Okay, where did she go though? I haven't seen her in decades. Like,
You've been alive for decades. What?
What unit was the
never tested around here though.
This one? This would land technically in 1.5. They kind of blend together, so I don't.
That's why I wrote it by units.
Yeah. My packet's in units, but all the questions kind of blend together because the equals will show up in each one. Like, okay. So this one, I think I did it right. Wait a second. Sorry, not 27. Let's make it 16. No, let's make it. My fault. 6 and 3 is 18. Okay. My fault. All right, x squared plus 9x plus 18 equals 0. In this one, what I'm going to do is, because it equals 0, by the way, it equals 0, you can start factoring it. Yeah, it has to be 18. 27 won't work.
You have to back.
So now, guys, stop talking.
I almost got kidnapped.
Stop talking. Now, with that in mind, you only start factoring when it equals 0. And this one is given equals 0, so we're happy. So then we're going to factor the left side. This is becoming x plus 6, x plus 3 equals 0. Remember, at this point, when they're factored, aka everything's multiplying to each other, what happens is you could split and solve for each one as itself equals 0.
Wait, how do you know when you? Oh, you only do that when it equals 0.
You only do it when it equals 0, and once you factor everything to a multiplication. So these are multiplying to each other. So,
this is the one where you split it up.
yep. So x plus 6 equals 0. So x equals -6 is one of my answers.
X equals -3.
And x plus 3 equals 0. So x equals -3.
Yeah, it makes me want to go. Did you get that? I answered the question. Oh yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm going skydiving. When?
All right, next one.
Skydive.
The air one. Oh, that's
No, she meant actual skydiving.
I'm gonna.
I'm so jealous.
Oh, so you're not actually on skydiving.
What if you die?
You just want to go skydiving.
Then you die.
Skydiving.
X squared plus
If you die,
4x equals
Yeah, it's gonna be freezing.
Wait, you're dying?
6 minus
Actually,
12.
not in the summer. Like,
12.
both of my parents went skydiving.
I'm so scared of that.
Our next one, x squared plus 4x equals 12. What we're going to do is, if we subtract 12 on both sides, we cannot factor or do any factoring until it equals 0.
Wait, so you.
X squared plus 4x minus 12 equals 0.
Why'd you just subtract 1?
It has to equal 0 in order to do this, or to start the process. So things that multiply to -12, that adds to 4, x plus 6, and x minus 2.
My problem with this test is everything looks the same, so I don't know what to do for what.
But you're doing basically the same thing for each question.
Yeah.
So your first answer should be -6. And your second answer should be +2.
Wouldn't it be the other way around? 6 and -2 because 6 minus 2 equals 4.
Remember, I'm trying to make this equal 0 right here. So -6 plus 6 equals 0. So it's
Yeah,
negative.
but how do you get 62 in the first place? You need to equal 4.
-12. What multiplies to -12? That adds to 4. +6 and -2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right here. So the final answers are the flip of that.
Oh, I thought.
You're not.
Next one.
Wait.
Are you looking at me?
Let me make one up. 3x squared plus 8 in the middle plus 24.
What about you?
14x
Your kids are her kids.
equals 0.
My kids? Big brother?
That's a
I see your kids are gonna want it. No one's saying they wait. Oh, you were talking about the other one.
All right, this one. I'm going to take the 3, drag it over here. So x squared plus 14x plus 24 equals 0.
I'm gonna have a restraining order.
Yo, Galit, stop talking. Then what multiplies to 24 that adds to 14? X plus 12.
Wait, that's so false.
X plus 2. Now before...
No.
Hey! Stop talking!
Okay.
Then we have to divide each one by 3. Because I dragged the 3 over here, I have to pay it back. This 3 is going to go to the front while this gets simplified. So this is x plus 4 and 3x plus 2 equals 0. Now you split and solve. X plus 4 equals 0 and 3x plus 2 equals 0.
X equals -4.
Uh-huh.
And then 2 over -2 over 3.
Good. Your two answers should be x equals -4 and x equals -2 over 3. We're about to do the square root stuff now.
Oh my god.
Mr. Told us not about talking about separate questions. I was talking about when it's plus and minus, and you have to split it plus and minus one.
I know what you're talking about. That's in the square root section.
I was making sure.
Uh-huh. No problem. All right. Square roots.
Wait, I didn't finish. Can I just write something on that?
No. Square root of 60. I want to simplify the square root of 60. So I do a factor tree.
Last time I was
6 and 10. 5 and 2.
Whoa.
3 and 2.
Last time I was doing this, and then I was just plugging into a calculator. Like, there's no way you just plug it into a calculator. And then I looked back at my notes and I realized that I've been doing it.
So I'm going to pair up anything that has a pair. In this case, I have 2 2s. So the 2s will pair up. And anything solo or individual, 3 and 5 is left over. So the paired 2s will go to the front because it's 2. What is 2 times 2? What's the square root 4? So that normal 2 will be on the outside. The square root, what's left on the inside, 3 times 5. So 2, I thought you said plus. So that is 2 square root 15.
I don't get.
No. Yes.
What's the difference between 5 times 3 and 3 times 5?
Nothing. I thought she said 3 plus 5 or something.
I'm so confused. Give me another one. How do you know which is on the outside?
The pairs are on the outside. There's a pair of 2s and then.
If that's always what it is?
Yes.
Is there always going to be a pair?
Sometimes. Well, yeah. Otherwise, there's nothing to do. There will always at least be one pair. Six.
Oh yeah, took me like half a period to realize that you were multiplying those two numbers to get to a square root number. I thought you were square rooting it. but-
Okay, I wasn't.
Yeah, I realize it now.
This
This
is what I had like
so
my
long.
friend explain to me for 3 minutes.
All right, this one. There are multiple ways you could do this. You could technically simplify first and multiply. Usually that causes more errors. Guys, but in this case, what I'm going to do is multiply the outside and then the inside numbers. So multiplying the outside numbers, that's 15. 5 times 3 is 15.
No homework, I didn't know how to do it.
And multiplying the inside numbers, 18 times 10 is 180. But we're not done. We want to simplify as much as possible. So we're going to break this down. Now, I just multiplied to 180. So that means I know two things I multiplied to 180.
18 and 10.
18 and 10. So I can start from there. Then I break it down. 9 and 2, which is 3, 3. And this is 5 and 2. All right. Any pairs? I see a 3 pair and I see a 2 pair. In terms of solo, I only see a 5. So a 3 will leave and a 2 will leave. So it's 3 times 2 times 15 on the outside. And what's left on the inside is just a 5.
What about the 9? Why don't you do 3?
Wait,
The 9 broke down to 3, 3.
Wait, where's the 15 from?
Why don't you do? Because the pairs go on the outside. So why?
Oh,
why
wrong
do
way.
3 times 3 times 2? All numbers are not fair.
6 times 15 is 90. So 90 root 5.
Go so far, I can't see anything.
Move up then.
All the numbers are not fair.
I'm sorry to hear that. What's up?
Then all the numbers in the pair should be 3 and 3 and 3.
5 is not in a pair.
What?
5 is not a pair.
No, 3, 3 and 3. So that's fair.
Yeah, so that goes on the outside.
No, you only use one number of each. You use two numbers.
Yeah. So the pair multiplies to 9. So we ask ourselves, what's the square root of 9?
Well, it's your figuring.
Oh.
That's why only 1 escapes. Because you're technically square rooting the whole thing.
Why you don't use the 18 or the 10?
You use the 18 and 10 as your first point as you keep breaking it down and down.
You know what? What's
You
the
never
thing?
learned it?
I don't remember everything. We never learned. We don't learn growth structures.
Seventh grade? A lot.
All right. Next thing, we're going to simplify or rationalize fractions. 2 over root 6. When we rationalize a fraction, that means I do not want a square root on the bottom. So to get rid of the square root on the bottom, stop talking. Stop talking. To get rid of the square root on the bottom, what I'm going to do is multiply the top and the bottom by the bottom square root. So in this case, square root of 6, square root of 6. On the top, that will be 2 root 6. They're not matching terms, right? One's inside the square root, one's not, so they don't go together. Well, here, square root of 6, square root of 6 is the square root of 36. But wait a second. We know what the square root of 36 is. It's 6. So you don't have to show that middle step. You could go right to here if you want to.
That's not good.
That's what you are doing. That's what you're doing on the question.
Okay, so
Can't you
it's
just
2
pencil out the
divided
numbers?
by
Yeah,
6.
it's 1 technically, right?
Yes, it is 1. So I'm not changing the value. Remember, I'm not doing any math. I'm just trying to rationalize it, aka make it look different. It's the same way if you had like an improper fraction back in middle school. You would just change it to a mixed number. Next question. Square root of 12 over square root of 7. Here, you have 2 square roots. Which square root do you multiply by? The bottom one, which is 7. Good. So square root 7, square root 7. So square root of 7 times 12. So that's going to be 84. And you actually multiply them because they're both in square roots. But the square root of 7 times the square root of 7 is square root of 49. But I know what the square root of 49 is. 7. Because you're learning it the second time, that's why.
Yeah, before the first time.
It's just a reality of life. When you learn it the second time, it's easier. Yes.
Yeah.
How come the square root thing goes away?
Square root of 7 times square root of 7 is the square root of 49. And the square root of 49 is 7. Yeah. And I purposely did that because I multiply it by the same number.
Okay, so if it was like, so it's always gonna be.
It's always going to be this number. You want to avoid the square root on the bottom, yes. If you do it correctly, it will happen like that. Last one. Oh, wait, not last one. Second to last one. 2 is less than 5 plus square root of 6.
How'd you get 84?
I'll let you think about it. So over here, I'm multiplying the top and the bottom by its conjugate. The conjugate of the bottom is 5 minus square root of 6. The reason I'm multiplying it by the bottom like this, I'm going to show you the work, but you could go straight to the answer on the actual test. In green is the work that you don't necessarily need to show, but this is the work for it. 5 times square root of 6, or 5 plus square root of 6, times 5 minus square root of 6. If I were to FOIL this, that would be 25, negative 5 root 6, positive 5 root 6, and square roots of negative and positive 6 would be negative square root 36. But I know what the square root of 36 is. 6. Now notice, this is negative 5 root 6. This is positive 5 root 6. They cancel out. So your bottom is going to become 25 minus 6, which you can simplify. Over here on the top, I have to distribute the 2 to everything here. So that's going to be 10 minus 2 root 6. Remember, the 2 cannot interact with the 6 because this is on the outside, this is on the inside. Let's see what we could do. Well, 25 minus 6, I actually could do math. 10 minus 2 root 6 over 19. Check if there's something in common with all three numbers. There's nothing in common with all three numbers. You're done.
Wait, it's 10 in the second to last thing, it's 10 minus 2 root 6.
Yes. This is the math that this is happening to get to here. You don't need to do the math. All you need to know, it's going to be the first number squared, in this case 5 squared, the first number, minus the second number squared.
Already in the, yeah, alright.
So, I've been saying that. I'll zoom out. Yes, go.
Isn't that called the conjugate or something like that, right?
This is the conjugate, and the rule of this is the difference of squares.
Wait, is numbers, can you scroll more up?
Oh, I'm sorry, what's up?
And like, that was the end of
2 root 6 over 6. Oh, I'm sorry. For this last thing over here, you got to keep simplifying because 2 and 6 can simplify. So it's root 6 over 3.
What if, okay, but since you made that mistake, what if I look at
No, well, we'll take off half a point.
Oh, I have to.
Wait, why did it go to 3? What would be 1
Because 2 and 6 could cancel out. I forgot to check that.
2 over 6 is 1/3.
1 over 3.
Yeah, so no one.
I don't need to show 1 because there's a root. Yeah,
Root 6 and cancel out.
you could put a 1 here. You'd still be correct. But you don't need it. Yeah. That square root 6 is not getting simplified. It's the 2 in front that's getting simplified. You can't do it anymore. This is 1 on the outside, 1 on the inside. All right. Maltz, now I realize what you're asking, though. That question was with the complete the square thing. Remember the plus minus? So because that's in the complete the square, that'll be on the next test, not on this test.
Is that like the plus C thing?
Well, I looked at my test and I made questions based off the test that you'll get. So
So what is it? Extra plus?
why?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm stop recording.
We did this with.
I think I did it with.
The square root.
I'm pretty. Let me look at my test again.
Rationalize denominator.
I did rationalize the denominators.
Osteoflexion. X plus 2 squared equals 49. So the osteoblasts are the cartilage-covered bones. So your bones.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And then
Did you get? I put something like this.
in your early life.
X plus 2 squared equals 49.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you do with your root?
I did not give you that question on the test.
And like that. That's what I was confused.
Yes, this question will not be on the test.
No, but like that, like 3 squared.
That's more belonging 1.7, which I taught early in EXA.
You just root and then
You would square root and then solve each part. But then again, I would teach you at 1.7.